All right, welcome back. It's Fast Cars, Fast Money. We're talking the Truck Series at Gateway, Worldwide Technology Center, St. Louis, whatever you want to call it. We got another NASCAR DFS slate for you guys this weekend. Two races actually on Saturday. We got the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series going, but the Truck Series is the only series, at least of the two, on Saturday. It's actually racing at Gateway. The Xfinity Series is over in Portland on the road course. Practice and qualifying has just been completed for both series, so we'll be putting out our spreadsheet on Twitter. It's at FastCarsFM, and we'll also be posting this video, which obviously you know about by now because you've clicked on it. You're watching the video, but we also have our Xfinity video up as well. So what is Gateway? So Gateway is a 1.25 mile, intermediate type of short track, I guess you want to call it. It's an egg-shaped track like Darlington. So, turns 1 and 2 are different than turns 3 and 4. However, it's very flat, almost like a Phoenix, a Richmond, a Martinsville. So really, really unique track. 160 laps. We got 40 points up for grabs when it comes to laps led, 72 up for grabs for fast laps. As far as what we really want to focus on, you can look at some of the shorter, flatter tracks we've been at. You can focus on practice and qualifying, which I think you should do. But really, it's the Truck Series. You kind of know who's good. You kind of know who isn't. It's just trying to, nail and kind of pinpoint who those top plays are going to be. And so we'll dive into it. So looking at the top range, you got John Hunter, Zane Smith, Ben Rhodes, Chandler Smith, Stuart Friesen, and Carson Hocevar. I think you can kind of categorize these drivers into kind of two different groups. So, the first group, you have kind of the place differential plays, right? You got Ben Rhodes and Carson Hocevar. Both of them have place differential upside. Ben Rhodes and Carson Hocevar. I may have accidentally clicked on Zane Smith there, but I meant Rhodes and Hocevar if I didn't say that. They can give you points through place differential, and I could potentially see them getting towards the front of the field, maybe leading laps, maybe in stage 2 or potentially stage 3. So I like pairing potentially one of, or maybe even both of those drivers with some of these drivers in the other group that we're going to talk about. And that second group of drivers would be, John Hunter Nemechek, Zane Smith, and Chandler Smith. I don't really see myself getting to Stuart Friesen just because I feel a lot more confident or better plugging in, a Smith, the other Smith, or Nemechek there, at least for the top range. The KBM trucks have kind of been a disappointment this year, especially at the 1.5s. But looking at practice and qualifying, it's interesting. Like Corey Heim qualified on the pole, but if you look at his practice times, it looked like he had a really good short run car, and then his long run speed fell off. Or, John Hunter and Chandler seemed to have a better long run car, so their cars would get faster as the run went on. So if this race goes green, if we don't have accidents, drivers spinning out, I love the idea of John Hunter moving forward through the field. Same with Chandler Smith. The only potential problem I think there might have is Zane. Zane has been lights out, just extremely fast. He's actually getting a cup opportunity this weekend as well. So it's kind of interesting. Again, you have to play that narrative out in your head of how does this lineup work? So I think you start your line with potentially either, Zane Smith or maybe Corey Heim, who are on that front row, maybe picking between one of those two as those early lap leaders. And then maybe a John Hunter Nemechek or a Chandler Smith is maybe your second lap leader. Hey, I think they could take over at some point in this race, or I think they'll be able to pick up fast laps for me. And then maybe even a third driver who's also in that same category. Or then, hey, I got Zane Smith as my early lap leader. I think John Hunter is going to lead at this stage 2. And hey, by that point, I think Ben Rhodes or Hocevar should be up there as well. And maybe you kind of go that route. So you're not going to be able to play all of these drivers who have high interests together, but I like trying to get some combination of it. And again, you want to look at that combination that you have and try to figure out, okay, how is this lineup going to work? And that's at least the approach that I want to take. So really like Zane Smith to be the early lap leader. Not that I don't like Corey Heim, but if I had to pick between the two of them, I like, Zane. Picking between Chandler Smith and John Hunter, I probably would lean more towards John Hunter. And then picking between Ben Rhodes and Carson Hocevar is tough. I just like the salary relief you get for Hocevar, and especially how fast he's been recently. So those are kind of my top three plays, I would say, of the expensive range. But you could definitely make an argument for anybody up there. So once you get down to the 9K range, with all that stuff being said, I don't really see myself getting to Eckes today. He's more of a GPP low owned option. Anfanger is, I think, an interesting pivot off of Hocevar and Rhodes. Rhodes and Hocevar are probably more likely to get up front lead laps and give you a little bit more place differential, but Anfinger has some pretty good practice times as well. And I don't necessarily think a lot of people are going to get to him today or tomorrow, depending on when you're watching this. Gives you some place differential. So I like him as kind of a way to kind of get a little bit different. Corey Heim's probably going to get a decent amount of ownership. My only fear with him is, you look at the trucks that are starting right behind him and looking at his practice times. His practice times fell off as the truck, continued on, but it's still a KBM truck. Good chance that he could lead a Vol stage one. I'm just fearful that Zane's going to take over. It's going to be the Zane show. And then as the run gets further on, Chandler Smith or John Hunter might pass Zane in stage one, and Heim is just going to continue to fall back throughout the field. It's my only fear with Heim. I still like him quite a bit. I'm going to be building multiple lines, so I'm still going to get to him, but I'm definitely going to be a little bit higher owned on Zane Smith. Crafton, he could kind of go either way. I don't see him really finishing any higher than maybe 8th. I don't really see him finishing any worse than like 15th. I think he's just going to finish right around where he qualifies. Johnny Sonner is back in the truck this weekend. Kind of in that dead zone. Don't really like the price tag that you're paying for Sauter either. I'd much rather just drop down the Ty Majeski. Majeski's definitely more of a GPP, type of option, but we've seen him have good speed this year. He's been able to get out front, and he's pretty cheap. So he's an interesting, maybe potential lap leader if you're fading, maybe some of the 10K and 11K drivers, and you're trying to look for, okay, where can I potentially get another lap leader on this slate that's going to differentiate my line than a lot of people who are, playing those chalk plays. I think Majeski's an interesting option that kind of falls into that category. Ankrum and Matty D are more pivots, I would say, off of the Derek Kraus chalk, who wasn't able to post a qualifying time. So he starts, basically DFL, or I think he does start DFL. Huge amount of upside there. It's going to be hard to not plug Kraus in, but should Kraus have a problem, everyone else is going to be plugging him into their lines as well. So make sure you build a couple of lines that don't have Kraus in it, just in case that chalk busts. Well, who am I going to play, Andrew? Well, I think you could get to Ankrum or Matty D as, interesting pivots off of Kraus. I like both of their upside. Maybe Tanner Gray, who's probably my least, favorite option of the 4 drivers we just talked about, but he could easily just run inside the top 10, and he'll be fast. It's just, can he actually get the result of the speed of the truck during the race? Usually he has flashes, but he just gets into the trouble, and those results aren't always there. Howard starts a little bit too close to the front. Austin Wayne Self is probably going to carry a lot of ownership. He starts deeper in the field. Didn't really have the best practice times or best qualifying time for that effort, but he can easily finish top 20, especially if other drivers are wrecking out. Don't see myself getting to Purdy. Deegan is just so hard to plug into your lines. Eventually she'll be able to put a clean race together, and she'll probably be low owned when that does happen. So you want to always try to be ahead of the curve than behind it. But man, if you've been playing Deegan this year, and we've certainly been playing her quite a bit, it is not worked out, at least for those lines that she has been in. Taylor Gray starts a little bit too close to the front. Tate Fogelman looks like a chalk play again. The one time I think he started deep in the field, and we were like, we don't want anything to do with him. And of course, he had a good finish. And I don't know if he made the optimal lineup or not, but he had a great DFS day, and he's in the same situation again. So I just know if I play him again, he's going to bust. And if I don't play him, he's going to work out. So I don't know what to do with Fogelman. We're going to still have high interest in him just because of the place differential upside that he offers. But if you're looking for a pivot off of him, you could get down to Jack Wood. He's in better equipment. Hasn't necessarily been great, but it's hard to ignore a GMS truck starting 32nd. Timmy, he's a little bit expensive. And he hasn't really been running as good as we thought he would be recently. I kind of like some of these other punt plays as you get lower too, like Lawless Allen. I think is interesting. He's been putting together decent runs as of late. He starts 24th, but if you're playing Lawless at that point, you might as well just drop down, give you some salary relief, and play Dean, or even drop even further down. It's more aggressive, but plugging in Chris Wright there, they're all in the same equipment. And Chris Wright gives you a $1,200 discount basically off of Lawless. So that's a lot of salary to save. He doesn't have as much place differential. So if you don't want to get that aggressive, maybe go into Dean Thompson. But really for me, I just want to plug in Raja there. It's in the Spire Motorsports 7 car. Starting 19th might scare some people off of him. So he's probably more of the GPP punt play. If you're looking for more of the cash, safer route, I think you can go with Dean Thompson, Spencer Boyd. Those would be, Dean Thompson and Spencer Boyd would be kind of the cash punt plays that are relatively safe, can't really hurt you. But as far as like an upside, kind of more aggressive punt plays, I really like Raja. And I also don't mind Chris Wright or Jake Garcia either. This is McNally truck. It's the same equipment that Derek Kraus and I think Colby Howard are in. And you get him at dirt cheap, $4,700. So doesn't have the most experience, but again, I just love the upside from a GPP standpoint that Garcia and Raja gives you. It is very aggressive and it can easily hurt your day if one of them has an issue. But so that's basically it for the truck series. A lot of different drivers in play for different reasons, depending on how aggressive you really want to get. Any questions, comments, drop them in the comments below, or you can hit us up on Twitter. But thanks, guys, and we'll catch you on the Xfinity video.